All right. Hello, everybody. Good evening and welcome into KC Sports Tonight. I am Mark Poulose joining you here on Monday, June the 15th as we get ready for just a massive week here in Kansas City sports. And guys, I was trying not to be hyperbolic. I was really trying to just kind of, shoot it straight, tell you how it is. But I can't think of it any other way. Kansas City is on the precipice of history because tomorrow, for the first time in the history of our city, we are going to host a FIFA World Cup game. Argentina is set to take on Algeria tomorrow night, 8 p.m. out at, we usually call it Arrowhead Stadium, but during the FIFA World Cup, we have to call it Kansas City Stadium. And guys, the eyes of the world are truly, truly going to be upon us. I don't know if any of you guys have actually seen any of our news coverage today in our 3:34 and 5 p.m. newscast, but we just saw some of the fans that have started to come to town. There was a charter plane from Argentina that landed at KCI today with about a little more than 200 rabid fans who are coming obviously to our city for tomorrow's game. So kind of cool to see all these folks coming to Kansas City as the world really will be watching us tomorrow night as the defending champions of the World Cup are set to start their journey as they try to become the first team that goes back-to-back at the World Cup since 1962. Obviously, I'm talking about Argentina taking on Algeria in the World Cup opener. Now, if you're watching the stream anywhere from Kansas City or Lawrence, you guys have probably known that we have a very special connection to both of these teams. Obviously, first with Argentina making their base camp at the Compass Minerals National Performance Center, which is Sporting KC's practice facility, and then Algeria, obviously, out in Lawrence. But that's really the one thing that I wanted to focus on first. Both teams living and staying here in Kansas City, and boy, have they really kind of run through the gamut in their first couple days here. They come here, obviously there's a lot of fanfare, there's a lot of excitement. No games have been played when they first arrive, as they always kind of say, hope springs eternal, because everyone kind of still thinks they have a chance to obviously win this year's World Cup. I mean, that's why they're here. They're some of the best players in the world. But then as soon as obviously both these teams have come, they've had to deal with severe weather, they've had to deal with tornado warnings, they've had to deal with thunderstorms, flash flood warnings, you name it. You all know it. It's that Midwest Kansas City weather. That's how we greeted these guys, and you know, they've just kind of taken it here in stride. If you guys are just kind of hopping on the stream right here, we're doing a solo show of KC Sports Tonight. We're going to be talking about World Cup, Chiefs, Royals, and obviously some playoff hockey. So if you guys have any questions, leave them there in the chat. We're going to do our best to try to get through some of those, but we got to talk about this big World Cup game, because earlier today, both Argentina and Algeria, they met with the media here in Kansas City for a bit of a pre-match presser. I was kind of personally wondering how this was all going to go, because not everybody here that's here for the games, they're not going to speak the best English. Argentina, obviously, they speak Spanish. Algeria, I believe they speak Arabic there. I'm not 100% sure what language they speak over there, North Africa. But they held a press conference. They had to meet with the media, and we got to hear from them. Lionel Scaloni, the head coach of the Argentinian national team, he was actually asked about the weather, because here in Kansas City, I think teams have been surprised by the heat and the humidity that we've really experienced here over the last couple days. Not something that they were really expecting, but he was saying, yeah, you know, the weather's good, the conditions are good. He said the city of Kansas City has been great to us, and the training center is fantastic. He really thanked the people of Kansas City, and I think that's something that a lot of people around the world are beginning to see with Argentina here in Kansas City, that the Compass Minerals National Performance Center, where Sporting KC has their practice facility, it literally is one of the best facilities in the world. Like, we've said that here in Kansas City. Sporting KC's come out and said it. The U.S. men's national team, who uses that as one of their facilities, has come out and said that before. But obviously, it's a little bit different when Argentina, who's the reigning World Cup champions, when Lionel Messi, when their head coach Lionel Scaloni is coming out and saying, like, guys, this facility that we're training at in Kansas City, Kansas, is one of the best in the world. It's just kind of cool to see that aspect of it. Now, on the other side of this action, Algeria, they've actually had a very similar reaction. You know, a lot of people, a lot of the world's kind of learning about the great university sports system that we have here in this country, because they don't really have that all over the rest of the world. Algeria, obviously training at Rock Chalk Park out there in Lawrence, and I think they have truly been blown away by the facilities that are out there in the University of Kansas. And also, one thing I think that will warm a lot of people's hearts, you guys have kind of seen it online, we've especially seen it on social media, is the way that the city of Lawrence has really rallied around that the Algerian national team is kind of the best marriage you never thought was going to happen at this year's World Cup. It turns out to be there's a team from North Africa with no ties really to Lawrence going here to Lawrence, Kansas, maybe 45 an hour outside of the Kansas City area. People here in Kansas City don't consider Lawrence to be in the metro, but maybe in the greater world they're kind of saying in the KC metro. But kind of cool to see the way that the city has really adopted the Algerian national team. But they've really been grateful for the support today. He talked about some of the guys that have gone out to practice, the Lawrence locals, the KU students, everyone that's kind of been out there. They really have liked to see what's been going on out there. Now we have one comment here in the chat. Thank you for getting this out there because I was not 100% sure. They are saying yes, in Algeria they do speak Arabic. Good luck to our Algerian team, and thank you to Kansas City and Lawrence for your hospitality. Hey, thanks for coming. We love you guys. We have been so excited for the World Cup to come to Kansas City. Now, obviously, we have Algeria, we have the Netherlands, the Dutch here, we have England, and we have Argentina, obviously, I'm talking about. Now, here in Kansas City, we kind of knew you guys were coming. We were excited for you guys to get here. We just didn't know what was going to happen. And it has been so cool to see each different culture come here and kind of display themselves. The other day, I was actually out at the community training session with the Dutch national team. And it was cool to see their fans, the Oranje, however you say that, taking over the KC Current facility in Riverside. I mean, it was an unbelievable sight. And the Dutch Netherlands team, I mean, these guys, they're some of the best players in the world. Virgil van Dijk, you could make the argument he is the best defender in the world. They had Memphis Depay, the all-time leading scorer out there for the Dutch national team. And they just had a great moment out there. They stopped. They interacted with the fans out there, and it was great to see. It was a very cool kind of group of people who were out there with. I was with the mayor of Riverside, Kathy Rose. We were there with the mayor of Kansas City, Mayor Quentin Lucas, a couple FIFA officials. Actually, the FIFA human rights officer was kind of interesting to meet and talk to her for a couple seconds. But with the world coming here to Kansas City, we didn't know what it was going to be like. But this little marriage between Algeria and Lawrence has really become one of the greatest kind of subplots here at this tournament. But kind of looking ahead to the soccer tomorrow, I mean, there's no other way to say it. Argentina is for sure, excuse me, I just hit the mic, is for sure the favorite in this game. They enter the tournament as the number one ranked team in the FIFA ranking. They also enter this tournament as the defending champions. They were the top ranked team in CONMEBOL qualifying. They had more points than anybody. They had scored more than 21 more goals than anybody down there in South America. I mean, we all know Argentina, they're a favorite to win the tournament. You look at Lionel Messi, one of the greatest players to ever play. But let's talk about Algeria. They're kind of a scrappy team. I believe they're ranked 30th in the FIFA ranking. They're paying Argentina all due respect, but they're not coming into this kind of thinking that they're going to lose. Like, they're coming here to win. Like, Algeria didn't come here to just kind of mess around, get to the group stage, play a couple matches, and go home. Like, they're here to win, and they think they have a good chance to upset Argentina because of what happened at the last World Cup, because in that last World Cup down in Qatar, or Qatar, however you want to say it, Argentina lost to Saudi Arabia 2-1 in one of the biggest upsets in soccer history in their opening match. Now, obviously, Argentina put it together, went on to win the World Cup, and Messi got his World Cup trophy. But Argentina is on upset alert for this first game. Algeria is really going to be kind of coming out for them, and that's what we're going to see. So Lionel Scaloni, the head coach of Argentina, he said his message to the team this week was really, we need you to remain calm. This game, this first match, it's important, but it doesn't end in that first match. That's a defending champion. They're trying to turn down the volume on this game a little bit because obviously a lot of people know what happened last time, losing to Saudi Arabia, but they say don't turn this opening match into a final. And then Nicolas Otamendi, one of their great defenders, one of the senior voices on the team, he kind of said, hey guys, we need to stop talking about hoping. He just wanted to go match by match because in the end they know they're the Argentinian national team. They were born to compete. They were born to fight adversity. That's what they did last time. And obviously, hey guys, we're very excited for what's going to happen out there tomorrow. So tomorrow, guys, stick with us here on KCTV5 because we have so much coverage planned for this game. We're excited. Everyone should be excited. It's the first World Cup game in Kansas City history. I'm from Shawnee, grew up here, born and bred. I never thought events like this would come to Kansas City. Now they are. The people growing up here, the kids growing up here, this is something that they're always going to see. I think this is kind of a moment as a city we're going to need to maybe step back, take in together, because this is It's a day that will go down forever in the history of Kansas City, and especially in the history of Kansas City sports. So tomorrow, special day. We have coverage all planned throughout the morning show, noon show, and then 3:30, 4, 5, 6, 10 p.m. We're going to have you covered. We have Neil Jones and Marlia Campbell. They're going out there to the stadium tomorrow, Kansas City Stadium, for what will be one heck of a matchup. So the World Cup, guys, it just keeps getting realer and realer. But tomorrow, our first World Cup match here in Kansas City. Very excited for that. Again, guys, hey, we're doing a solo stream here on KC Sports tonight. We have 2 comments right now in the chat, but if there are some comments that you guys would like to get answered, some questions about the World Cup, about the Chiefs, about the Royals, anything Kansas City related, just put it in there and we will do our best to get to it. But we have some more topics to talk about today because, yeah, we keep talking about the World Cup getting realer. You want to know what else got realer today? Football. The Kansas City Chiefs released their training camp schedule as they try to, kind of wash the taste of last year's season out of their mouth, because we all know it. Last year's season, not what anybody wanted. The Chiefs missing the playoffs for the first time of the Patrick Mahomes era, really kind of stumbling out of the blocks. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes tearing his ACL there late in the season, really, really hurting the Chiefs' chances. All right, but here, let's not bury the lead any longer. Let's get to those training camp dates, everything you guys want to know. So the first date, the Chiefs are going to get up to St. Joe for their first practice on Wednesday, July the 29th. They report on Wednesday, July 29th. That is the first practice. It will start at 9:15 in the morning. As we all know, it gets very hot here in Kansas City late July, early August. What do the Chiefs do? They go up to Missouri Western. They practice in the morning, and then they do meetings and recovery for the rest of the day. So Wednesday, July 29th, the very first training camp practice. That practice is not open to the public, though. That practice is only open to season ticket members, and there will be a team autograph session. Then the first practice that's open to the public, that is going to be the very next day, Thursday, July 30th. That one's going to kick off at 9:15 in the morning. That day, the autographs are going to go to the linebackers. Now, there are, for the most part, training camp practices are free. So if you want to go, you're not going to have to pay, but you really can't just show up. You have to go online. You have to reserve some tickets. They're free of charge, but there are a couple days that do cost money. Now, it's not going to cost you a lot. It's going to cost you a little more than an Abraham Lincoln. It's going to cost you an Abraham Lincoln and 2 George Washingtons. That is, if you're doing the math at home, that is $7. That's how much it costs to go to the paid practices. The first one is Saturday, August 1st. That's the first Saturday, the first weekend practice of training camp. And when they do have those $7 days, you have to pay a little bit, but you do get good return on your investment, I would say. For $7, you get to have a team autograph session. You get to get really close to the players. That's another thing. We talk about training camp every year. We all know if you want to go see the Chiefs, maybe the best thing to go do is go to Arrowhead Stadium, get that game environment. Obviously, it's a lot of fun. But I always tell people, if you want to see the players, you want to hear the players, you really want to see them truly work their craft more than any other place in the world, the best place to do that is up at training camp. You will be able to get as close as you could get honestly about 1-2 feet away at certain points. You can really, when you're at practice, you could hear the players talking. You can hear the coaches talking to the players. You can hear the players talking to each other. You can hear other fans. It's really a cool spot. If you're as a football junkie or you're as a diehard Chiefs fan and you've never been to a game, you want to see these guys in person, you never kind of seen that. The best place to go is to training camp up at Missouri Western. Just make the quick drive up to St. Joe. So the first paid practice is going to be Saturday, August the 1st. Full team autograph session. Some other important dates. The next, there's an admission day, Friday, August 7th. That's another team autograph day. Family Fun Day is August the 8th. Another good day. And then the Chiefs are going to close things out on Thursday, August 20th. That is their last practice of training camp. That is always Military Appreciation Day. So always a good day out there at Chiefs training camp because the Chiefs, they really do a good job. So, hey, those are the big training camp dates. I don't think you guys are going to want to miss those. Training camp obviously coincides with the preseason. We get to talk about some dates for Chiefs games, so let's kind of go through that. If I can pull up the schedule here because I'm working on the stream here by myself. But we have preseason, week 1, August the 15th, the Chiefs taking on the LA Rams. That will be a very interesting game. Obviously, the Rams just traded for Myles Garrett, the reigning Defensive Player of the Year. They have Matthew Stafford, who I believe is at least the Offensive Player of the Year, potentially is the reigning league MVP. And then obviously they have Trent McDuffie, who the Chiefs traded this past offseason, who is wanted to play for the LA Rams at one point in his career. And they also have Jalen Watson, who they signed to the Chiefs. So a lot of kind of interesting storylines for a preseason game. Obviously, I don't know if Patrick Mahomes is going to be available. There's no chance he's going to place a single snap in that game as he's coming back from his ACL. But there are some storylines there in that week 1 preseason game. Not always something you typically see. All right, week 2 of the preseason, what do we have? We have, wrong tab open. Week 2, the Chiefs go on the road to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's Saturday, August 22nd. Then week 3, the Chiefs welcome the Seattle Seahawks to Arrowhead Stadium. That's a Friday night game on August the 28th as Kenneth Walker III will actually welcome his reigning Super Bowl champion former teammates to Arrowhead Stadium. So a lot going on there. The Chiefs just released their training camp dates. Obviously, we all know everything that revolves around the Chiefs offseason and training camp really revolves around the health of Patrick Mahomes. Kind of interesting to see how much he was able to do when we were able to get a couple looks at him at OTAs and minicamp. I mean, this is a guy who tore his ACL in December here in Kansas City. We all know Patrick Mahomes, he has a penchant for coming back from injury super quick. Still, even knowing that, everyone here in Kansas City was kind of tempering those expectations. Like, I'm not trying to, make this more than it is, but Patrick Mahomes is the franchise. Patrick Mahomes is the most important player in the history of the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes, we wanted to take it slow. We didn't want anything to happen to QB1 and maybe the most influential sports figure in Kansas City history. But guys, he just showed up to minicamp. He showed up to OTAs. Yeah, he had a sleeve on. Yeah, he had a brace on, but he was taking part in workouts. He spoke with the media. He was doing everything that he could. Andy Reid said that he's been very pleased with Patrick's progression, like he's meeting all the benchmarks that he's supposed to meet. Patrick's doing all his work with Rick Burkholder and Julie Frymeier. I think especially with Julie Frymeier, I think she's kind of an unsung hero in all of this. Like, obviously, yes, in Chiefs Kingdom, a lot of people talk about her name, but I think the trust that players put in her and their comebacks from injuries is something that really should not be forgotten. So it seems like, obviously, Patrick, things are going well, but we're going to have to see. Also, sticking with the Chiefs, it's right now June the 15th. Tomorrow is June the 16th. That is the day that wide receiver Rashee Rice is supposed to get out of jail. That is another big training camp storyline that we've kind of been following here in Kansas City. Last week at mandatory minicamp, Chiefs head coach Andy Reid said that Rashee has been able to kind of do some physical therapy and some rehab on his knee that he had surgery on while he was in jail. The team was obviously kind of very grateful for that. But that's a big storyline. We got to see. Rashee Rice, they expect him to be ready for training camp, but there are some factors there. Obviously, he's had his legal situation with his probation violation from a felony car crash that landed him in jail for 30 days. I mean, that's a big... He was a guy that was in a big problem, and he chose to violate his probation and had to go to jail. I mean, that's a big. What else do you want to say? That's a failure of judgment and a young man that needs to mature. Obviously, he did the crime, he did the time. Supposed to get out tomorrow, but we'll see how his knee does. I don't think rehabbing in jail, eating the foods that you eat in custody. I don't know if he's maybe getting his protein gold that he would get if he was outside, if he was a free man walking around, but. Those are some big storylines to look out for training camp. But again, the Chiefs announced their training camp dates. Those start the first practice Wednesday, July the 29th. So, guys, what a summer we're going to have here in Kansas City. We have the World Cup. Then we have Chiefs training camp right after that. It is going to be a summer. But one thing I really pains me to say it, but one team I think that's just going to get lost in the sauce of all that's going on this year are the Kansas City Royals. This is a team they entered with a bunch of preseason expectations. They were hoping last year was just an aberration after they made the playoffs in 2024, kind of missed them, obviously, in 2025. In 2026, they kind of wanted to get back on that upward trajectory, try to make it to the postseason, but as things stand right now, there's no other way to say it. The Royals right now are tied for the worst record in the American League. The Royals are 29-43. They are 14 games below 500. They have the second worst record in all of Major League Baseball. I think they're, at a certain point, the Kansas City fan base, Kansas City owners, the fan base is already doing this, but John Sherman and J.J. Picollo at a certain point are going to need to look themselves in the eye and say, what is going wrong in our process where this is the result? Because this is a team, this is an organization that entered this year and was telling people, kind of preaching, screaming from the mountaintops that they were ready to win. This isn't something that they were faking. This isn't something that they were kind of trying to just put out there. This is something that the Royals from top to bottom genuinely believed. I remember when we caught up with the team at Royals Rally, when we caught up with them at spring training, when we caught up with them in their early games here in Kansas City. This was a team that genuinely thought they were going to compete for the American League Central title. They were telling all the things that they wanted to say. They said, look at the left side of our infield. We have Bobby Witt Jr., we have Maikel Garcia. The Royals were making the argument that they had the best left side of an infield in all of baseball. They were saying we have 8 to 9 guys who could be starting pitchers for us this year. They always say in Major League Baseball, the currency is starting pitching. The Royals were telling people they had a surplus of pitching. Then obviously you think about the bullpen. The Royals had the Major League saves leader last year in Carlos Estevez. And when you think about the Royals, this is something that they've been able to do over their history. That's kind of something that Jayton Moore really was able to do, and also something maybe J.J. Picollo that we maybe thought was in his wheelhouse, was developing a bullpen, because here in Kansas City, obviously this year they did bring the fences in, but it's a ballpark that is built for speed, defense, and pitching. What has happened through this early part of the season? The Royals have played like the worst team in the American League. The Royals have been one of the worst run producers in the American League. Right now, the Royals have a minus 49 run differential, which is the second worst in the entire American League. Interestingly, the A's have the worst, and they actually have a 35-36 record, still below 500, but the Royals, boy, would they love to be there. But this Royals team, again, I want to say, this is a team, they need to start looking at their process. They need to start wondering, the things that we believe in, the core tenets of our organization, the core tenets of our hitting philosophy, the core tenets, their pitching philosophy, it looks like they kind of know what they're doing. But a lot of the plan is not working. The things that they are doing are not working. And at a certain point, are they going to maybe abandon their plan, try to find a new way to win games? Because what they're doing, as currently constructed, is the worst team in the American League, tied for. I mean, there's no other way to say it. I mean, they always say in baseball, sample size, wait till Memorial Day. Well, we are well past Memorial Day, and this is not a good baseball team. So hopefully the Royals, they can turn that around. Right now, they are playing on the road, playing a 3-game road trip, a 3-game series on the road at the Washington Nationals. But guess who started today? At least it's scheduled to be Mitch Spence. Mitch Spence has pitched 1 game this year for the Kansas City Royals. It was 4 innings. He gave up 6 runs at the New York Yankees, and I believe he has a terrible ERA at AAA Omaha. So obviously the Royals dealing with a lot of injuries, but starting pitching was an area that they thought they had numbers, and I think that's proving to not be the case. But hey, we'll have to wait and see what happens. The Royals, 3-game set, taking on the Washington Nationals. That game just started literally minutes ago, 5:45 first pitch. The Royals went 1 for 4 in the first inning. How about this? Jack Caglione got a base knock. Jack Caglione right now, .273 batting average, which is number 2 on the team, trailing only Bobby Witt Jr. I actually got to talk to Bobby Witt Jr. and Vinny Pasquantino last week about Jack Caglione. They kind of said it's kind of cool to see him coming into his own, and Bobby Witt Jr., who we know is a superstar, said Jack Caglione has that potential inside him. So very cool to see Bobby, who is one of the best players in the league, recognize that he sees that talent in Jack Caglione. So one final note on the Royals. You are going to want to watch them on Thursday because they play right here on KCTV5. They take on the St. Louis Cardinals in the latest installment of the I-70 series. So just so you guys know, Thursday, 6:40 p.m. right here, your favorite station, KCTV5. The Cardinals are in town taking on the Royals. All right, we have one last topic to talk about in a little more than 5 minutes. Wow, hold on. I got to give myself a little pat on the back. I'm doing the stream solo. Marlia's out in the field. She's shooting a national team practice. Neil Jones is off. Katie Marr is off. I'm doing the stream by myself. I'm going to talk for the full 30 minutes. Shout out to me. All right, here we go. Playoff hockey night here in Kansas City. The KC Mavericks taking on the Florida Everblades in Game 6 of the Kelly Cup Finals. And guys, this has been This has been a championship series. If you're a hockey fan, this has been everything you have ever wanted. So the Mavs are the number one team in the West. The Florida Everblades, the number one team in the East. The Florida Everblades, not last year, but the 3 years before, had won 3 straight ECHL league titles. They are a very, very good team. But this year, the KC Mavericks were the best team in the ECHL. They had more wins than anybody. They had more points than anybody, and they have absolutely dominated. So we go to the Kelly Cup Finals. They're taking on the Florida Everblades. The Mavs dominate games 1 and 2. They blow out the Everblades at Cable Dahmer Arena. I think they had a 5-goal game. I think they had a 6-goal game. And those games were against the ECHL goalie of the year. So the Mavs go down to Florida with a 2-0 series lead. And you would have to just imagine brimming with confidence. But then what happens down there in Florida? They go down there. They go to the Swamp. It's a little bit south of Fort Myers, Estero, Florida, Hertz Arena. What happens? The Mavs go to overtime in both Game 3 and Game 4, unfortunately come up short, losing those games in overtime. So then the series is tied 2-2. Saturday night, they play a pivotal Game 5 because whoever wins that Game 5 will only need one more win to take home the league title. What happens? Florida kind of dominates. They blow out the KC Mavericks. They win that one 5-2, force the series back to Kansas City for Game 6 and a potential Game 7. But the Florida Everblades have the lead. So right now, guys, the Florida Mavericks, they're on the brink of elimination. Their back is against the wall. They have that pivotal Game 6 coming up tonight, 7:05 p.m. out at Cable Dahmer Arena in Independence. You can still get some tickets to that matchup on KCMavericks.com. If you can't get out there to Cable Dahmer Arena, we will have the game on our sister station, KSMO, coming out to you in crystal clear HD. But guys, I want to tell you, if you can get out there to Cable Dahmer Arena, go. This is a team, they deserve your support. They're the number one team in the league. They play great at home. They put on a heck of a show, and they rely on the home crowd. Right now, they are playing for a league title. They have to win tonight to force a winner-take-all Game 7. They need a loud arena out there in Independence. So, guys, if you don't have anything to do tonight, you love hockey, even if you do have something to do, call. Change your plans. Get out to Cable Dahmer Arena because it's going to be a special night. The Kelly Cup is going to be in the building because the Mavericks they're on the brink of elimination. If they lose, Florida wins the title. The trophy will be in the building. It is a huge night out there at Cable Dahmer Arena, so make sure you go out there and support the KC Mavericks as they try to win their first Kelly Cup final in league history. We are going to have a full recap of that game coming up on KC Sports tonight. But again, guys, no home team has lost yet. Every team on home ice has won. The Mavs won Game 1 and 2. The Everblades won Games 3, 4, and 5. Now the series back here in Kansas City for Game 6 and a potential Game 7. Once again, if you're just hopping on the stream here late, that game on KSMO, 7:05 p.m. tonight. Tune in, be there, or be square. But that's what we at KC Sports tonight on this Monday, June the 15th. Coming up tonight at 6, Sports Director Marlia Campbell is going to have a great story on the Algeria-Argentina game as we continue to get you ready for the first FIFA World Cup game in Kansas City history. Plus the Chiefs, they start their training camp Wednesday, July 29th. KCTV5, you know we're your training camp headquarters. We will be up there in St. Joe every single day that the Chiefs have practice, and we will keep you updated from St. Joe with those live press conferences, live streams, everything you want. We are going to have that for you. But that's what we got KC Sports tonight on this Monday, June the 15th. Get ready, Kansas City. Our very first game, World Cup game in Kansas City history is tomorrow. I'm so excited. I probably won't be able to sleep. I'm pumped up. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.